All right, hey folks, so we're going to do a mic check here real quick, make sure we're live and up and running. So give me a second here, doing a check. Let's see if we are up and running. Let's see, are we up? Hey, yep. Oh, yep. And there we go. And there we go. Hey, all right, cool, folks. Hey, welcome to the mix. Hey, all right, cool, folks. Hey, welcome to the mix. Hey, all right, cool. Obviously, my volume's working okay. That's awesome. I'm really happy to discover the scheduling function so I can take care of all my social media drops before we actually go live. That is an amazing upgrade to my presentations, I feel. But hey, here we are in the mix of it. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And we are creating an adventure set in Eberron called Crystals of Mabar. It's fighting undead and necromancers in the Carnwood Forest of Karnath for 3 to 5 characters, level 7 or 8. So we are going to continue working on this today. For folks that are new to the stream, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get... Hey, we picked up new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. Notifications get when we're live in the future. We're live 11 times per week working on different projects. The full playlist for the Eberron art stream here is right here. You can check out all my previous works that are on DMsGuild here. Extensive previews for you to check out. If you think they're cool, consider making a purchase. Big shout out, hey, thanks to the Eberron community on our Eberron for being in support of the art that we do here and the ideas that we have. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter, the X Twitter platform. I'm at Phil Kearney. And that's all the intro that we need. So let's get into it. Yeah, I made this book cover back around episode 40 of the full stream. So again, you can click on here and dive in through the Wayback Machine to see the creation of that. Right now, we're going to continue working on this is a 75 by 75 square map. And when we get done with all of the... Hold on real quick. There we go. When we get done with all the processing of the dressing and stuff, this is a black and white super breakdown version of it that we'll be able to break up into squares that can then be printed off separately, so that you'll be able to feed this out at the kitchen table square by square without having to have an 8 by 8 foot table to place this thing on. But on virtual tabletop, works just fine. So we're building for VTT, and we'll be tearing out assets for print. So hold on real quick. Rough. When we were last here, we were building out a teleportation circle and putting in lighting. So we're making, I'm going to... This is just a process of us basically going through everything that needs to be done to have a fully built dungeon. So I'm going to conceal the text layer for now. Here's our light sources. Let's drop this down into the color space. Why did you disappear? Let's go with, actually, let's make a folder out of this. L-I-G-H-T, beep, beep. And grid. Let's put light over grid. Yeah, I think that'll do okay. And then we can take this base layer here and drop that down. Okay, so I've talked about a lot of the process over the past 200 some odd episodes, but today we're working on lighting. The way that the dungeon is designed, it's been rediscovered and repopulated, and is currently being used for necromantic experiments. All this gristle and grit that's in these tunnels here is from this manifest zone nexus point where a ritual... Oh, whoa, I just locked up my Photoshop. Photoshop and the OBS platform don't necessarily jive all the time. So once this is done saving, it'll close, and then we'll have to relaunch it. Thank you. Relaunch. I can see there's a little slide bar over here on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see it pop up as soon as this thing loads. But if you go back and check the playback, Let me zoom in here. You can see this. It slid down to here and then shrank in size. When I see that thing spontaneously move on its own, I know that Photoshop locked up. At least I can save it and then pick up and continue. But back on track. This nexus here is this ritual chamber is the nexus to a synthetically manufactured manifest zone that co-terminates with the plane of Mabar, which is the plane of nightmares, undeath, things that go bump in the dark. They are actively attempting to open and sustain a manifest zone as an effort to terraform the environment inside of the manifest zone. If they maintain it for a long period of time, it will eventually cause that portion of Eberron to take on properties of the plane that's co-terminating. In this instance, Mabar, the plane of darkness and undeath, the soil of the realm is devoid of life. It is a sort of inverted undeath life. So the soil becomes this gritty, crystalline, Folger's crystals type substance, which is called the crystals of Mabar, hence the title of the book, the titular crystals of Mabar. That stuff can be ground into a powder to be used for undead rituals. It replaces the material components needed for undead, for necromancy and darkness-based magics. So if you can basically provide a little powder, a little vial of powder, you don't have to worry about excavating onyx to be able to like speak with the dead, or like put little rocks on people's eyes so you can like speak with the dead, raise undead, animate corpse, all that stuff. You can create undead much easier by just sprinkling powder on a corpse, cast the spell, and poop, it's up and going. Or make a ritual out of it, dump a bunch of bodies into it, spray a bunch of crystals on it, ritual, and poop, they all pop up. Very cheap, affordable, but the startup cost is massive. So that's what they're in the process of doing. This is an old abandoned laboratory in the Carnwood that was best forgotten about by the current leadership of Carnathi. And so Emerald Claw necromancers knew about the place because of training in Aether Academy and access to old archives. There's an artifact called the Eye of Mabar, which is basically an object made from substance in Mabar, and was made specifically to work with a ritual that would allow you to manifest create a manifest zone. It was for the purpose of studying undeath that they created this ritual, so they could spontaneously create manifest zones, so they could study the effects of undeath in that environment. And of course, the thing goes pear-shaped. They shut the project down. Aether Academy archives the information and mothballs the artifact and the process for the ritual. High-level Emerald Claw military operative during the last war has access to the information, uses it once the war is over to start up its own franchise, fires up this facility. There you go. So all this polluted area is where the manifest zone is slowly rotting the ground and the actual facility itself, basically stripping it away and breaking it down. We haven't built them yet, but that's part of the process of creating items. These are wind veins that have a 20-foot radius that basically creates a wind wall effect. So the way that the manifest zone spreads its soil is with this fog that leaks out of the manifest zone into the environment around it, and that fog has an acidic, necrotic effect that it rots all plant life and turns it basically into goop. And once the goop dries, it crystallizes into the titular crystals of Mabar that can then be scraped up and harvested and then carried off. But the soil also encourages sometimes the rot will turn into the fungus, mold, and different types of plants that we have an appendix for in the adventure to describe what this different type of flora is that goes along with the random encounters of all the different creatures. We just finished making a stack of creature tokens that are included with the adventure. You can check that out. It was like episode like 180 through 210, something like that. But yeah, so we're doing dungeon dressing today, and back on track. Let's work on light. So they hire a military, an ex-military mercenary platoon called the Red Wolves, and so they were charged to help secure the facility, and are now providing security to prevent any locals from coming nearby and asking questions. So part of the process of them of basically regaining control of the facility was just using old school dungeoneering tactics, and in this instance they're taking climbing pitons and they're casting continual they're basically permanent the light cantrip. They're permanizing the light cantrip onto these pitons so that they have a 20-foot radius source of light, and then they just drive them into the wall. So you cast light on something, bang, you drive it into a wall, it becomes a permanent torch that just hangs on the wall. You can pull it out of the wall and carry it around as a torch if you need to, like a magic torch, because it's got continual light permanized on it. That's just old school dungeoneering right there. But these are professionals, so they know how to do that crap. So we're just kind of leaning into the meta of we're just leaning into the meta of them being competent adventurers, and a great way to represent that competence is by using tried and true dungeoneer tactics. Like they run around with 10-foot poles. You know, I mean, like they're old school heroes. But I mean, they're a mercenary guild, so I mean, I guess they're technically bad guys, whatever. But you can win them over and make them allies over the course of the adventure. And they're once they realize what's going on, and they acknowledge who the characters are and trying to resolve the place, they could become powerful NPC allies that can help you not only through this adventure, but also to secure the region in general if you want to play a Dominion style of campaign. A lot of people don't have experience playing Dominion style, and that's a real shame. But it's fun stuff, man. It is very, very fun stuff. So I'm going to merge these two things down here. I'm going to duplicate the layer. The thing about them being pitons is that it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, the angles don't necessarily have to be perfect. The placement doesn't have to be perfect. They're just literally taking spikes and driving them into a wall. So them not being perfect, it's okay. So I don't have to break my heart on making sure that these things sit proper. I just need to make sure they get done. So we're going to merge down here, and then we're going to just grab this shape here. Transform. Perfect. See, just drive the things into the wall. Plank. So once we get my face itches in the morning like that sometimes. Duplicate the layer, free transform, flip vertical, ping, right into the wall. Transform, boom, boom, boom. Boom. Bang, right into the wall. I love doing that. Transform, flip horizontal. Bang, right into the wall. Just jab it in. There you go. Let's see. there. Yep. This is how you get paid the big bucks, folks. Transform. Flip vertical. This is close to what I would call assembly work, in that there's not a lot of creative elements here, like actual like freehand painting or anything going on right now. But this is one of the things that that you got to get done if you're going to build out an adventure, man. You gotta go through this process of meticulating all this shit. Again, I don't have to be perfect here because it's merge down. Just manually, again, these are just being manually driven into stone. It's not like they used a mason tool or anything to get these things perfect. They just ran along and just stabbed it into the wall. So it's okay if it's off kilter. I'm gonna merge all that down. I feel like I pressed the wrong button. Merge down. How'd that work out? Cool. I'm gonna pull this out. Nope, I don't want to duplicate that layer. That'd be foolishness. Here. Let's grab that. Transform. Flip horizontal. So I stream, believe it or not, I stream 11 times per week. Well, I'll only stream 10 times this week because I get to, normally when I would, okay, so I stream cartography and creature token stuff for the Eberron adventure Monday through Friday in the morning, just like this. At lunchtime, including today, Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays, I stream mechanic designs, and right now we are working on a hex crawl campaign toolkit for Ravnica with characters lost in the Rubble Belt. Basically, hex crawling through that environment to, you know, it's a hex crawl. If you don't know what a hex crawl is, tune in at lunchtime today in about 7 hours. In about 7 hours, I'll be on building out the what's the word I'm trying to use? Yeah, hex crawl, the hex crawl toolkit. I'll be talking about that and building the process and the random tables that go along with it. So you can see that at lunch today. That's Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And again, I do Eberron cartography and creature token, and once we get the text of the adventure completed, page layouts and interior artwork design, building all of the bobs and bits that go into a VTT adventure using 5th edition Eberron. We're going to build all that stuff out here on stream, just like we did for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that published 2 weeks ago. You can go check out my Spelljammer stream to see 19 months worth of production cycle for turning that from an idea into something that's a pretty fucking cool document. So you can check that stuff out. Mondays, including tonight, and Thursdays, not including this week. Mondays and Thursday nights, I typically build out more Spelljammer assets, support content. Right now, I've been building a 500-foot, basically like a mecha crab, essentially. It's using the Spelljammer vehicle mechanics that we built to create a 500-foot combat crab, just like a massive scale vehicle. And then Saturday morning is my workbench of either commissions or whatever project's exciting me at the moment, whatever I think is cool, essentially. And I know I've got. Let's keep working through this. I know I've got a commission that's going to be coming up sometime soon. I just don't have the final details yet. It'll be a painting of some sort. But until then, we build stuff. Copy paste. Beep beep beep. Beep 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 beep. Go there. Copy paste. Beep 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 beep. There. And let's save all of these bits here. Grab this. Copy paste. Retransform. Beep 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 beep. Beep. Yep, there we go. Cool, those are all set there, and we'll merge those down. Where is our next? Bobs and Bits. Transform. Pop, pop, pop. Perfect. Here. Well, hey Finn, how you doing? My apologies. I don't know if you've been here before, or it's because I've been binging Magicians on Netflix. But Finn is a name that is just kind of popping out at me as familiar right now. Have you seen the Magicians? The sci-fi action adventure urban magic TV series that was on. God, when was that? Like 7 years ago, I think is when it was. They were creating episodes. It's completed by now. If you haven't seen it, The Magicians, it is an excellent show. Occasionally they burst out in song, and I find that obnoxious. But occasionally it actually has a relevant reason. I am not a big musical enthusiast, but I respect its presence. It's just, oh my God, some of the singing's bad. I'm not really doing a great job talking up the show right now. But I mean, once you get past the ick of potentially bad singing, it's an excellent show. I mean, there's like maybe like 6 instances throughout 4 seasons where they have a singing montage sort of thing going on, a musical bit going on. But it really is a great show. Probably my top 5 different TV shows that I enjoy. It's like it's on par with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Yeah, it's as good as the Joss Whedon show, but has absolutely nothing to do with Joss Whedon. Hey, what's up? So, I've been here before, actually. Oh, thank you. I lose track. My bad. I've been here a while back, and you explained this massive project you're working on right now. Oh, hey, right on. Well, yeah, that was a while ago. I had to largely put this on hold for the Spelljammer book that we were creating, but now that Spelljammer is done, this becomes our primary project that we work on daily. I'm currently looking for here's one. And there we go. That's where I need to put another one. Cool, man. Well, welcome back, man. I'm glad to have you. There. Let's merge that down. I think these are, if you didn't catch the beginning, these are pitons, climbing pythons that are enchanted with a light spell, so that they're basically permanent torches that you can just drive into the wall or yank out of the wall with a strength check to carry around as a torch if needed. But they have it's just a light cantrip, so it has a 20-foot radius, so it has a lot of reach to it. There we go. And these are clean. This is clean air. Here, these wind turbines create an ongoing wind wall effect that pushes air away from it, and this gritty. Well, if I explained it to you before, you already know, and I explained it earlier. This grit is the manifest zone polluting the environment and basically slowly rotting it away. But these clean air, that happens by this fog that settles over everything, and if it's not already motherite, then it basically starts to rot away, and acid necrose eat at whatever it is, whether it's stone, flesh, vegetation. And so to keep that from happening and to have a space inside the dungeon that isn't completely fouled and tainted, they set up these wind turbines to basically push the fog back so that they can keep a clean air zone inside of here for people to be able to easily breathe. Anywhere that the soldiers sleep or spend time in camp, they have these setups. Otherwise, they put on like these plague masks that are full with potpourri in them to help filter out the miasmic effect of the manifest zone. So, pretty fun stuff. I think I have all my pythons into the walls at this point. Merge down, I think, yep. And this environment has a luminescent moss that creates a dim light condition. And since these crystals and the spores and fungus and stuff grow rapidly, driving a pit into the wall, it just eventually gets crusted over and becomes nullified. So it's better just to use the low light of the actual. It's called Vopina Lathara, which is the stuff that just the glowing fungus that just naturally manifests in the region. And now that we have that set, I can grab this and center up these spheres around the pythons. I guess I could have made this a stacked layer so all of these light sources just automatically were properly aligned with it, but nah, screw it. It is what it is, you know. Oh, hey, we're missing one. Right on, buddy. That's why we go through this process. After we do this, we're going to continue. Populating the area. We're going to make the wind vanes. And then we're going to start adding in furniture and cargo boxes and stuff. It's dungeon dressing. You got to put the stuff in the dungeon. And once it's when we package this with the adventure and publish it on DMsGuild, it'll have a stock dungeon with all this stuff placed for you, but immobile. And we'll have a bare bones sticky dungeon where it'll just be the floor plan. And then the DM can choose to add all the assets, like all the chairs and boxes and tables and beds. You could choose to add those things in yourself, so that they can be manually manipulated by characters and monsters that are in the adventure. If you want to use them as like obstacles to engage with your team, to make more of to have more dynamic adventure battles, blah blah blah. It's a little extra work to do it, but if you've seen my Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document on DMsGuild, it'll be pretty obvious that I like going a little extra distance to make things just really useful to use and help. Like I build things with the intention for people to actually use them. I don't make up stuff because I think they're cool ideas. And here's the thing: I don't know if it works or not. Like, all my shit gets play tested, all my shit gets thought through. I really have a lot of pride in the amount of effort that we put in to make things work the way that they're supposed to. So this will be absolutely no different than anything else that we have produced. So let me drop this here. And this will go to 100%. We're going to merge this down, and then we're going to hit 50. Oh, 55, 51, 50. Text, what's up? Hey, thanks. I'm making multiple one-shots right now to try with my D&D group, and I was thinking of a realistic way to have permanent torches in an abandoned wizard system. That is super old school gaming style. Back in the red box, like Beck Me days, or BX as it were, there was a I think it was a 3rd level spell called Continual Light, and until you got access to that spell, you're basically lugging torches. But and I think there was there was a 1st level basic light spell that lasted like 10 minutes or something. But the Continual Light, you would cast it on an object and it would become a permanent source of light, and that got glammed from a 3rd level spell slot to a cantrip in 5e. That's how that gives you an idea of the narrative difference in style of game from the original campaign being basically an escape room, sort of like original D&D was really a virtual escape room where your characters were basically user interfaces for the players to examine and interact with different objects and creatures in the dungeon space in an attempt to loot and escape with as much gold and wealth as possible. Because back in the red box days or the Beck Me days, the experience points that you got was the amount of gold that you extracted from a dungeon. And it wasn't that you got the gold, it was that you frivolously threw the gold away. You spent it like Conan, man. You spent it on getting drunk and partying and whoring around and like giving the money away to the community as tithing, and just making it's like you could spend the gold on gear and equipment and rituals and resources to improve your characters' material abilities, or you throw the gold away so it converts into experience points to gain levels. So there was 2 different sort of means of accumulating power. As you could stay a 1st level character and just spend all of your wealth on like war dogs and shield bearers and spell scrolls, so your 1st level character would have a crap load of resources for combat, but you'd still only be 1st level. Or you spend all of that gold, instead of like getting barding for your horse or whatever, you gain a level or 2, so that your character became more statistically powerful but broke. So you had to go back into the dungeon. At some point, your level would dictate the amount of wealth that you would be interacting with in the dungeon space. So as you gained levels, the amount of wealth that you would accumulate would become more and more ridiculous. It became stupid expensive for you to gain a level, and that's where the Dominion style of play would clip in. Whereas like at some point, it becomes more economical for you to establish an army and a stronghold and a territory that you oversaw for taxation, instead of adventuring to gain levels, because it was quicker to accumulate political power than personal power. And I think that's just a really fucking cool approach. Hey, I'm missing a pet ton. I love that approach to gaming. It was so flexible, and that's a lot of my efforts have been to bring that style of play back into 5e. Like that's probably my major objective of the content that I produce, is to get you thinking about that Dominion style of play, to expand the scope of what 5e games are. Because regardless of what sort of politics or debacle Wizards of the Coast finds itself in, 5e really is an excellent game engine, and you really can build literally anything out of it. Like people were like, if you want to do a heist mission, why don't you play Blades in the Dark instead? It's because I'm only running a heist mission for 4 sessions, and my table's been running these characters for a year and a half. So quitting the game seems stupid. What can I do to play a heist game using 5e mechanics so I can still play my character in my weekly game? Like, that's what a lot of people on Reddit or, the internet, when they're being anonymous douchebags, when they're snarking about, why don't you just play a different system? It's like, because you're missing the context of the question. It's the reason we want mechanics for different styles of game is because D&D games theoretically can last for decades. And if I just need to slot in some mecha combat rules because I want to have a giant kaiju attack my team and robots for a few sessions, How the hell do I do that? Hey, Chronix. Oh my God, Chronix is here. What's up, my dude? You made it. You've threatened your presence here before, my man. But I'm glad you were able to execute. I'm happy to have you. But I'm on a bit of a rant, so don't mind me. I'm just having an Eberron art rant, as it were. There's something I gotta say. There's something about Eberron that really facilitates ranting for me, and I feel where was that Python? I had a Python. I had to drive into a wall. Fuck, where was it? I'll find it. Hold on. Wait for there. Nope. I lost it. Hold on. It's around here somewhere. Shice. Where'd my Python go? I swear I had a blank Python, right? Nope, that's there. God, I can swear there was an empty space. Am I hallucinating? Am I just completely wrong? I think I am. All right, fuck it. Well, if I find it, I'll find it. All right, back on track. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, game modes. Let's see. I've got a cool idea. The torches and making multiple one-shot. Yeah, right on. I think I have all of those. Let's just make sure. Properly lined up here. And again, I don't need the torches to be set perfectly. They're just being driven in by hand. So it's, like I said, it's not like they have mason tools that are figuring out exactly where on the lines these things are supposed to be. They're just approximating them and just bam, hit them with a rock and you're good to go. But yeah, these dudes, they run around with these man catchers. They're 10-foot poles. They're glaives basically. They're 10-foot glaives. But they have I call them grappling glaives. They have the old school man catchers like spring. Hold on. If you don't know what a man catcher is, in 2nd edition, it was the 1st edition, the Oriental Handbook, Oriental Adventures. It had a staff. It basically had, these are spring loaded, so they basically be like this, and if you pushed on it, they'd pop open like that, and then once something got inside here, they'd snap back shut and they'd trap you. They're called man catchers because this was basically a 5-foot space. I feel like, yeah. Okay, great. So these things are effective, and basically they end up allowing you to grapple mediums or small-sized creatures up to 10 feet away. Basically grapple with reach, which is fantastic if you have a zombie that's running around. If you have a zombie running around that wants to attack you, you can catch that zombie in your hooked glaive, and it can't advance on you anymore. And in fact, if you win the strength check, you can push it around, and it can attack anything that you put within 5 feet of it. So your character is safe back here, and it's attacking whoever's here at a distance. So that you could hook undead and then guide them over and attack people with them. But most importantly, this would defend the guards, the mercenary guild that's basically maintaining security for the place. Is using these hook glaives because it's an easy way to like arrest somebody, right? It's like zip ties. You just grab them, you hold them down, you zip tie them, and now they're effectively handcuffed. This is basically a different means of being able to handcuff somebody at a distance and control their movement. So they didn't realize at the time that they were being. Oh, that's where the Pitten was. Thank you. They didn't realize at the time what the actual gig was that they were doing. But once they there. Once they realized that they were dealing with undead, these are all seasoned Karnath soldiers, so they have experience working with undead. They know how literally unforgiving those creatures are. So it just makes sense that they know means of dealing with unruly undead that break free from the control of their necromancer that created them, and such as grappling, like these ranged grapplers. So that's the idea, anyway. So that's why those are two smart tactic things that you see these mercenaries using, the lit pythons as light sources, and the hooked pikes to catch undead and to grapple them at a distance so they don't threaten them. Because if it's an undead that's out of control, and any undead in the manifest zone become free-willed. So one of our playtests, we had a necromancer that came in with an undead horse and a pack of undead soldiers that he geared up with armor, basically bolted armor to their skeletal frames to make them undead warriors. And he's like, fuck! Because once we got into the manifest zone, they broke free of control in it and started to move on their own, without being commanded to. He's like, oh, this is really bad news. So they ended up having to kill his undead spawn, and he had to switch gears into more of a control destroy necromancer instead of a control necromancer. And that was really fun. That was you did not see that coming. And so I only pat myself on the back a lot for that, because it's fun to subvert expectations like that, because they wouldn't have known. Players would never have known that's what was in store for them. So it makes sense. Hey, we're going to play Incarnath. If we're doing a one-shot, of course I want to play Necromancer. It's like, get burned. So that was a lot of fun. No hate, Nate. I loved having you in the team, man. It's no burn intended. But goddamn, that was a very satisfying moment, because that's the kind of reaction that I wanted to get from that effect, and it just happened right off the cuff. Necromancer right away. So future playtesters, I'm like, hey, we had a Necromancer playtesting, and he immediately lost control of his undead. So if you're going to play a Necromancer, don't lean into minion control. And so that on more than one occasion altered what somebody was planning on building. I know it was meta tipping my hand, but again, I wanted to make the playtest meaningful, and I didn't want to feel people like they had one being pulled over on them. That's just kind of bad form, I guess. But it subverts expectations, and subverting expectations is gold. Okay, so this is where we're at, and I think what I want to do is create some glow. Let's go to, it's a 20-foot radius. That's a 20-foot radius. I'm going to call this glow. Just to get a read on exactly where all these torches are overlapping each other. This feels like the responsible thing to do. So it's 20 feet of bright light and then another 20 feet of dim light. The light spell creates a lot of fucking light. So I think I'm going to be pretty happy here, pretty fast with how everything sits. But I wanted to go through the process just to get a good read on how things actually, literally sit. doesn't have to be perfect lighting. It just has to be lit. Get lit! Ba, 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 ba. I don't know where I'm going with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course the walls would block the light. We're just building spheres right now. One, two, three, 4. There. It's like this would be dim light. This little pocket here, whatever. This is a training room. Like this is like the guards have designated this area in this room that we're building right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. This is a basically a training room, like weapons training. Sometimes they'll grab an undead with a hook and drag it in here and fight them. Just you know your foe sort of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have a lot of lamps, a lot of lights that are overlapping, so that they have consistent lighting throughout the facility. Like if you're training, if you're practicing combat, having a well-lit environment is super useful, so you don't accidentally hurt people when you don't intend to. Now, you're going to have bad enough lighting conditions in the real world as it is, so why not give yourself the advantage of being able to properly see what's going on while you're in the process of training. I mean, there's low light exercises you can perform, sure. But the purpose of training is to hone your reflexes and your body memory in a safe environment. So there's no sense making it more difficult for yourself than it needs to be. You know, I feel like no, I think I'm okay with that. It's a little off kilter, but again, it's doing good. There's gonna be a dim spot in the middle of this room, but we're gonna have tables set up with extra lamps, so it won't be a significant problem for long. Holy Hannah, this place is lit up, dude. That is a lot of torching. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'm good with the redundant. I mean, it's cheap to do, so I'm cool with the redundancy of it. This is this room here is where the interns from Ader Academy are using their alchemy kits and medicine skills to fabricate different substances from the different plants and substances in the manifest zone. So like this is like massive intern credit for these dudes. It wasn't very difficult to recruit some punks to run around. They didn't realize like how much death and stuff would be involved. But you know, that's that you got to do what you need to do to get the grades, right? So this is the quote unquote laboratory where they make all the alchemical stuff. So we're gonna drop some tables in here in the middle, and this light sourcing is allowing us to see where the gaps are in bright light. So we need to know. I mean, it was pretty obvious that we're gonna need to put tables in here, but for the sake of demonstration, all we really need to do is we could just drop in one table here and it kills all the gaps. But for redundancy, we probably want to have like one centered here and another one centered here to completely blow out and light up this room. So it's like heavy lighting all the time. So we'll get to that. I want to finish layering in. This is this area over here. This is a store. This room is for storage, like all that 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this is where all their supply 1, 2, 3, yeah. This is where all their supplies and like sundries, food, etc. is kept here in a clean room environment so that the food doesn't get polluted and poisoned by the fog coming out of the manifest zone. That's why they need these air turbines, these wind vanes. Sorry, to 1, 2, 3, 4 to push the air away so that their food doesn't rot. And this is there's not much need to run. I mean, occasionally you have to crack open a new crate and get some stuff. So we're going to fill this place up with crates. But the middle of the middle of the room is going to be outside of high lighting. It's going to be low. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. They don't need to hang out here. I mean, this is, again, the dim light goes another 20 feet. So absolutely everywhere these light sources are at, these little patches is dim light, which is okay. It's okay. If all you're doing is grabbing a crate and dragging it over to open it up, you don't need to have bright light to grab a crate and drag it over. But also, for the metagame of it, for the player's advantage, there are these dark zones inside of the dungeon that the team can use to their advantage to 1, 2, 3, 4 to gain advantage on stealth checks. So if they're trying to Scooby-Doo this place and avoid combat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like there's 6 different plots. There's 6 different patrons that have different objectives inside of this facility. It just depends. Like the default patron is a sheriff that oversees this region of Karnath. And he's like, yeah, there's all these refugee villages that are reporting people missing. We don't keep documentation on who these refugee villages are because we need more people farming. And there's a lot of displaced workers as a result of the last war that don't have 1, 2, 3, 4 that don't have land of their own. So by not closely documenting who's coming in and setting up homesteads in Karnath, we get the advantage of being an inviting environment where people feel they can go and create an after-war society, an after-war home for themselves to be able to settle down. That's important. I had a coffee. Hold on real quick. I want to grab more coffee. This is really, really good. But then people go missing because they have to feed lives to the to the ritual that's being performed here. Look, okay, so if your character is strong enough, you can sacrifice enough hit dice to appease the ritual. But these NPCs aren't high enough have enough hit dice to be able to survive the experience. So you could feed to the ritual, basically dump into the pit here. You can feed into the ritual more hit dice, more life force, more people. It have to be sentient. You can dump sentient hit dice into the manifest zone or into this ritual pit, and it appeases the ritual to be able to sustain itself. If you're late on feeding it hit dice, then it will drain it off of the caster. Solzu is the head necromancer that's currently performing the ritual. He's got 2 sidekicks, Karen the Enchanter, or Karen the Enchantress, and then Houndsman. Houndsman's basically like an evil ranger, and he completely simps for Karen. Karen is a bitch, and Karen doesn't have any confidence in Solzu's ability to accomplish this. Even though he's gotten this far, she thinks he's a fuck up and wants to take control from him. So she figures Solzu's reliant on them to get more hit dice to dump into the ritual so Solzu doesn't get killed by it while sustaining the manifest zone long enough for it to permanize. But Karen is dragging her feet on collecting sacrifices to dump into the ritual so that Solzu stays alive. So he is being worn down slowly over days of having his hit dice sapped away from him. He can't take a long rest during the ritual, so he can't get his hit dice back. He can stay awake, but it's causing him endurance fatigue, and he's eventually going to die. Karen thinks that if she bleeds him out long enough, that he'll get the ritual far enough along that she can step in and take control and cap off the ritual and lock it down without herself getting killed in the process. So Solzu's kind of trapped. If he stops, the ritual will just consume him and he'll be destroyed. But if he keeps it up, he's getting slow death. And he knows this, and he's pissed. There's literally nothing he can do about it right now. He's trapped. All he can do is hope that he can hang long enough to complete this thing, to get enough power to fuck Karen up at the tail end of this thing. But the team should be showing up before that happens. The exact timing on this is nebulous on purpose, so that the team can show up whenever the DM feels narratively it's most appropriate for the conflict between Karen and Solzu to come to a crest, for the team to then step in and make calls on who should live, who should die, and how they want to play this thing out. Like, there is a scenario where the team takes control of the ritual, and it becomes their responsibility to complete it, if they want to do that. So, fun stuff. But they have to feed it hit dice. So villagers are missing from the nearby pop-up communities that are happening because Emerald Claw zealots are going out and kidnapping people, dragging them back, and this is the prison cell that they're being kept in. These doors can be raised and lowered, and they get dropped into the. They get basically, you just walk over here, grab a person, and drop them in. So the Red Wolf mercenary crew didn't know we were going to be sacrificing people, so they're starting to have a problem with the Emerald Claw soldiers coming in and basically dumping innocent bodies into a death pit. They're also the mercenaries aren't allowed into these zones, into these polluted zones. They are required to stay in the fresh air zones. So wherever these wind veins are basically, and these doors are at, is basically the limits of where they're allowed to go. Otherwise, they go up top and patrol the manifest zone to make sure there's no random people getting in. Their job is to push them away. But then the Emerald Claw will go out, grab them, and then drag them into the drag them back in here to get sacrificed. So hey, Tyler. Yeah. This is Soul Crystal Room app. That's right. This series has helped me in a mission with dungeon design and story. Immensely, I imagine, is what you were trying to type there. Man, I'm really glad to hear that, Tyler. Thanks for playtesting with me. But the dungeon design and narrative, like having, it's called ludonarrative, when the mechanics of a game complement and reinforce the narrative of the story in the game. So the more you're aware of the whys and hows NPCs are taking actions, the more you can have the environment reflect that and the type of encounters and decisions that are made. Like at a certain, like once you know who Karen is, all the decisions that she makes is just purely reactionary to what your team is doing. Like Karen's a bitch and she wants to take control of the place, and she's certainly willing, she's selfish, so she's willing to jet and run away and let others take the brunt of mistakes that she could then circle back around and take control of stuff casually on her own. Like, that's the kind of person she is. And once you understand how she operates, you don't really need any more details than that. It's just like, this is how Karen thinks. Go play. And if you build your adventure well, that sort of idea is kind of just like baked into the adventure. That's the idea anyway. Let's duplicate this layer. But this is the same philosophy that I bring to all the adventures that I create. 1, 2, 3, 4 for my home table, but most of the stuff is 1, 2, 3, 4, just spontaneous, on the fly. Like most of my DMing is improvised. I'd say like 80% of the DMing that I do at a table, regardless of the length of the session, about 80% of it is improvised. Like I have a loose idea of who knows what and why, what their general goals are, and what their resources are. And once you have that fleshed out, the rest of the adventure basically cooks itself. Because in the old school philosophies of Beckme, you don't have much story. The story is emergent, meaning that the actions that the players take largely dictates how the adventure shakes out. There are no, like the idea, like on Reddit yesterday, I ran across a post saying, hey, how am I supposed to convey to my team that they're supposed to run away from a fight? The answer is stupid. Don't have fights that the team is supposed to run away from. Set shit up inside of your world that makes sense that they would be there, and if they happen to be stronger than the players, then they shouldn't just be teleporting into their throne room and get eaten. It should take time to get to that creature, and during the course of time that it takes to traverse to that spot, there'll be plenty of circumstances that will naturally arise that should be red flags for the team. It's like, yeah, we hear there's a dragon in the territory, and now you're going through the woods and you're finding all like griffin bones. Like, hey, here's a half-eaten griffin. It looks like it's got claw marks coming out of it this big. Mayhaps a dragon is nearby that is capable of one-shotting griffins. Are you more powerful than a griffin? No, I'm 3rd level. Then you're gonna get fucked. Like, that's the kind of logical conclusion you can draw when you're having a logical progression of what's in your world space. You don't need to have encounters that they're supposed to run away from. There's a dragon there, and if they think they can fight it, why are you putting that dragon within weapons range in the first place? It's a fucking dragon. Like, it just fly away. Like, whatever. Hey, what town did you guys come? You guys smell like you guys smell like root deep. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I gotta scoot this over a bit. Smells like you guys are coming from the town of Root Deep. I'm just gonna completely disengage you in combat, and then I'm gonna go smog your town. That's how the dragon thinks. It's like, I don't need to eat you. I'm full. I'm just going to go destroy your town because I can smell it on you. Goodbye. Like, that's a proper dragon encounter with low-level characters. You took a shot at me? I'm going to burn your entire village. Fuck off. They don't have... that's a good reason for them to not eat your characters. I'm just not hungry right now, but I love the taste of vengeance. But you have to have, like, you don't just, like, random up a dragon that's controlling, like, 200 miles of territory. Like, that's a massive boss fight. It should be a huge struggle for your characters to even get to a place where they can fight it toe-to-toe in the first place. You ain't gonna be 3rd level when that happens. Anyway, I'm pontificating and anger raging at Reddit pretty bad right now. So, hi, Reddit. Be better. But that's because the new kids, the new wave of kids that are running games, they aren't properly educated. They've never been taught like philosophy like this. This is a gap. So they're taking cues from Wizards of the Coast adventures, and Wizards of the Coast has the worst fucking adventures. 1, 2, 3, 4, because they promote this narrative storytelling approach to adventure design that disempowers characters, so DMs think that they should be creating encounters that the players can't win. It's like, that is so disempowering. I have done that. After 37 years of DMing, I've made probably every mistake there is out there, and I'd say one of the biggest mistakes is taking agency away from your team. The reason your players are playing is because they want to make decisions in a fantasy world where they can feel heroic because it's an escape from our real world where we have absolutely no power whatsoever. So the last thing you want to do is enter them into a virtual environment where they also have no power. Like, why am I playing your fucking game if I can't make a goddamn decision? And my home table, when I was a player, we would rebel against those storylines. Like we would subvert and trash those storylines. Like, we would purposefully go out of the way to wreck the narrative of the game because we were being disempowered. And that really drove into me the mentality of, I need to be thinking about how pissed off was I when I wasn't allowed to make what I thought was a sensible choice for my character because it didn't fit the story that was being fed to us. And this was back in the 90s. Like, this problem became a problem once Dragonlance came out. People thought that they could write stories and then insert players into them as unwanted actors in your play. It just absolutely fucking doesn't work. And I really, I'm on a major rant here, so forgive me. But I really hope that when the new Dungeon Master's Guide comes out for 5e24, that they pull their heads out of their ass and start talking about this narrative control approach, about how they need to allow the players to be in control of the decisions. And God willing, they'll build adventures that are going to help frame around these decision makings, this empowerment. I will tell you, it is both easier and more difficult to write stories that way without having pre-baked plot lines into stuff. It lessens the load, but you have to provide more information about the narrative of, like, the environment, what's going on, what's the circumstances, what are people's stakes. It's not linear. It's a sandbox approach to goals and objectives of NPCs that the DM kind of has to keep track of. It's more work on the DM, but if you frame it well, it becomes intuitive what the DM is actually supposed to be doing during those times. So it's both more and less difficult to design dungeons that way, depending on how good you are about setting up what NPCs' needs and resources are available to them to accomplish their goals. Hopefully that shit's making sense. Now that we have our glow set up, I'm going to pretty it up a little bit because why not? Anyway, that's my rant. Thank you for visiting my TED Talk. Very good. How can I railroad my team into a storyline they didn't ask for? What a fucking dumb question. Just, what are you trying to do? Seriously. Boy, I'm coming in hot today, huh? Oh my god, I'm going to be unbearable at work today. So yeah, it's Monday. So Monday's a big production day for me. I have my at lunchtime. We've been building a sandbox environment for Ravnica as basically the Rubble Belt hex crawl campaign. And right now we're basically choosing different creatures to populate the Rubble Belt. And I think what I want to do. So we'll be doing that at lunchtime. And yeah, this is dim light. Oof, I see a flaw. Okay. You know what? You know what I should do, actually. Now that I have all these blurbles down, what I need to do is select all, 100%. There. Now it's all just one uniform glob of light. I don't have to worry about weird overlaps. There. Perfect. Perfecto. Yeah, I'm being an ass this morning. Don't mind me. Yeah, lunchtime, Rubble Belt, picking out creatures. It's a Ravnica Rubble Belt, which is MTG, which is color mana. So the lands are defined by the color type. Like if you're in plains, then we're using white-based creatures. What creatures in Ravnica can you summon as a card using white mana? Those are the type of creatures that should be populating the plains, for example. Or swamps, or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Let's do something like that. And then tonight we'll come back and we'll continue building our 500-foot battle crab. God damn, I'm loving that. I'm thrilled with this adventure, don't get me wrong, but goddamn, I love Spelljammer. Spelljammer has just been my sweetheart campaign since for fucking ever. Since it came out in 89. It's been my favorite campaign setting basically since I was 16. So I geek out over Spelljammer quite a bit. Quite often. In fact. I like that these alcoves are places, these like sleep alcoves, right? And there's no pittons in there. So it's dim light, so it's easy to sleep in. Logic. Positioning. I spy with my eye something that is text. What's up? Hey, Super, what's going on, my guy? Happy Day of Lies. Yes, absolutely. I do not do any kind of April Fool's anything. I am no trickster god. Mad respect to those that create meaningful April Fool's jokes, but that is not my jam. This isn't really important for me to do, but again, I wanted to clean it up so we can see what it looks like. That is somewhat important to me. To an extent, this is just busy work right now, but it's nice to be able to actually visualize this stuff. And there's probably a more efficient way I could do it, but this is the way I choose to. Following my muse. That is what leads me to success. She knows. She sees the future. She feeds it to me in one instant after the next. Oops. That is right. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is that little nip in there. I forgot about that python. Yeah, we're looking good here. I want to leave. I want to. There we go. I want to leave these doors lit because the doors can. We can open and close the doors. Hold on. Where is the doors? Pythons. Grid, items, color. Let's open up color. There we go. Doors. Blop. See, those doors. Those doors are just objects that we drop into slot. So I want to leave the column of light here active where the doors are at, because the door is open. The light's just gonna, stream through. So I want to build. I want to leave the light lit across, because what'll end up happening ultimately is we have the light there. Like these doors will sit on top of that layer. See, and so if we lift the door, it's lit open space, and if we close the door, there you go. So that's the idea that goes on there. So for now, we'll do this. But that's where we're going with it. Josh at Dungeoneers Pack totally turned me on to X-Men 97 on Disney. Holy shit, what a great show. That is one of the best cartoons I've seen in some time. Really, really enjoying character progression, the escalating politics. Lots of really, really good shit happening in 97. It's questionable. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this would all be lit here, but there would be a zone like here that would not be highlit. Basically like that. Because the angle that the door is getting, the door frame is blocking the angle of light. 1, 2, 3. Like that. Fun to see it. You gotta love it. Gargle Snaff. Where are we at? 7:48. 7:48. We're almost out of time this morning. That's okay. We didn't get far today. I'm, fucking around. We'll get there. Now that we know where the lighting is at, and again, this isn't important for me to do. It's just something I wanted to do. Just something I wanted to do. I guess, it's technically for context, it's important, but I don't know why I'm downing myself for doing this because it feels inefficient. That's why. But hey, at least I get to talk about shit and whatever. There is no light source that's hitting that spot, so that's going to go dark. Neat. Okay, yeah, this actually is kind of useful. We're going to, for those that are interested, we're going to have an art pack for the Spelljammer thing that we built. Probably in the next few days going up. I've been picking away at basically 100, it's asteroid assets, asteroids and asteroid clusters, 50 standalone asteroids, and then 50, hold on. This cuts across here. This goes like this. Let's build that out, and then we'll add it back in. Yeah, basically 100 asteroids and 100 clusters of asteroids that we're gonna put out basically as a coupon for the Spelljammer book that we built. It goes like this. The Spelljammer book is $20, but we have a coupon for 15. We're going to take the asteroid pack. We're going to have 100. We're going to have 50 asteroids and 50 asteroid clusters, and those are going to be. It'll be a $4 document to have those 100 assets. But then if you bundle it with the Spelljammer book, it's going to be $1. So we'll have $24 worth of stuff that folks can pick up for $16. So it's a 33% discount, which looks good on paper. Like, that's a big discount. But you get all those asteroid assets to add onto ship battle maps if you want to clutter your battlefield with fun stuff. And it creates a good bundle, so we can start permanizing a reduced cost for the Spelljammer book. So it's about I've got about 87 sales on it currently, so I only need 14 more sales for it to become a silver best metal seller. That's the fastest I've ever. This is the fastest moving product I've ever had. So I'm really, really thrilled with how well the Spelljammer document has been received online so far, and I just want to continue to make it affordable and rewarding for people to grab hold of. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There, like this. That's accurate. Like that. Just talking shop, you know. But that'll be out next couple of days, I'm sure. Before, at worst by Saturday, if not sooner. There's that. Looking good so far. Looking good. So. Oh wait, it's yeah, it's the what are you going on about, Super? I feel like you're causing trouble, my guy. Almost there. Stay on target. Almost there. And one more sales docket. Oh, God bless you. You are so kind. I didn't realize you were you had a date that you were going to purchase that thing. Well, that's awesome, dude. So once those asteroid those asteroid assets get dropped into a zip file, since you already bought the core mechanics book for Spelljammer Combat and Exploration, you can get the asteroids for $1. Once the bundle comes out, I'll be shouting about it everywhere, of course, and that will be a really cheap asset for you to be able to pick up for yourself. Thank you. God bless you for the support. I really, really appreciate that. And I hope it scratches every itch that you had. Text. Whoa, the wall. Hell yeah, my guy. Hell yeah, my guy. Do what? Hey, Dungeon. What are you talking about, my guy? This is, I just, you know, I don't assume anything. It's foolish to assume anything from anyone. I am almost out of time. I'm pushing the clock today because I'm having fun. But I still got a few minutes. And I'll be back at lunch today to continue building out creatures for the Ravnica Rubble Belt campaign. And I'm looking for. I'm thinking if I can get the creatures capped off today, at least some rudimentary creature lists done today, we can potentially be play testing in like a week or two. So anyone that's interested in play testing in the Ravnica Rubble Belt using the Martial Powers playtest system, or the Martial Powers system, that will be play tested. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah, okay, that's all lit. So that goes like that. First seats are going to go to people that are paid members of Patreon, and then I'll be filling out any open seats through my Discord, and all of that's linked in the description down below. The about page of my Patreon has an updated Discord invite link, and of course, if you chip in $1 or more into my Patreon, then you're going to have first rights of access to any seats that are open on days that you are able to play. 1, 2. Chronix, I'd say the way that I do it is because everything I do takes a really fucking long time to do. It's all very, very slow. Very slow to build, slow to, yeah, it's just nothing I do is fast. But honestly, the slower it cooks, the better the stew. So I really don't mind how long it takes for my stuff to come out, because Even while I'm doing page layouts, I'm still analyzing, you know, what's the text? Can I say this better? Is this really the best mechanic or the best way to represent that mechanic? Like, I'm constantly chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing on the stuff that I build. And once it's, I mean, even after it's published, I'm still chewing on it. Like, me publishing is like, this is good enough to share at this point, but hold on. I might be able to do it better. Hold on. I got seagulls out my window today. It takes about 4 crows to chase off a seagull. And there's open warfare at the dumpster almost every morning. God bless it. I love it. I love how much the birds fight over garbage so much. It's just fun. Because they're, you know, it's easy food for them because we're just giving it to them. It's like the only struggle they really have is with each other. I think there's some poetry to that. It's not like bum wars or anything. It's not like I'm making them, you know, fight for my entertainment. It's just entertaining watching them fight. It's different. It's different. And oh shit, it's 8 o'clock. It's time for me to bounce. Seagulls, stop now. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to call it quits here. When I come back tomorrow morning, we'll finish out the lighting here, and that'll tell us where we need to put tables for with a piton driven into the tabletop so that it fills in the rest of the light source. On virtual tabletop, like in Roll20, we can have little assets that have light sources bound to them, so wherever you carry the pitons, you can just drive them into the wall yourself as a DM and just place them there for dynamic lighting. But this will tell us where we need to set up our workbenches, our drinking tables, our beds, storage crates. We'll be grabbing assets from other maps to then import and drop into here. It'll be pretty easy to do. So yeah, and I'll be back. It's 8 o'clock. I'll be back in 5.5 hours-ish for us to work on the Rebel Belt. And then tonight, I'll be back in about 11 and maybe like 12. Yeah, I'll be back in about 11.5 hours. So between 11 and 12 hours from now, I'll be on continuing to build Vocat's 500-foot battle crab. So Mondays are busy days for me. I love Mondays. I'll see everybody later on. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. Cheers.